That's what we're doing. We're trying to force it. You can't force forgiveness. Forgiveness is something that happens as a byproduct, not a choice, as a byproduct of a healing process. So really, when people are feeling wronged by something, hurt by something, they should drop the concept of forgiveness. They should start focusing on this process of healing. And then it happens. And forgiveness, genuine forgiveness, is not a choice. I'm going to argue that all day long. It is something that happens spontaneously, just like awakening, as a result of the steps you're taking. And that day is the best day of your life.
Because of the steps you've taken.
Forgiveness as a goal in and of itself was something that was propagated. Fundamentally, you don't see this concept of forgiveness in the East in the same way here. It's very much a Christian concept, and it's done to try to decrease violence. So it's essentially an idea that was put out there as something that you need to do to let go of something so that you don't perpetuate the social unrest. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work for people. Because these the feelings that are the opposite of resentment, things like hatred, things like resentment, they're natural. They're natural things to feel as a result of being wounded. And if you don't own the fact that that's how you're feeling and deal directly with the way that you're feeling there, all you're doing is a bypass. You're lying to yourself that you're in a place that you're not. So, yeah, genuine forgiveness is, I really struggle with this concept, especially in the spiritual field. Because it's somewhere everybody wants to get to. But you can't just by deciding to get there.
It's not just a choice. You're like, okay, I forgive you now. It has to come from...
It has to actually be there, and I'm telling you, like, the point at which you really forgive somebody, that point, you will never need to say it to someone. Genuine forgiveness comes with there never needs to be an amend. I mean, it's so far beyond where most people are. It's not just I'm letting you off the hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just the words, I'm sorry.
It comes with a relatability as well.
Yeah.
Genuinely forgiving somebody. There's a powerful relation, the thing that hurt you in that state, which nobody wants in what they're trying to do. And you see people being like, I want to forgive, I'm going to choose to forgive. They're actually choosing superiority, moral superiority. All right, so that's my little 2 cents.
No, that's...
I would wish, this is my wish, I would wish that people would give up on forgiveness. I would wish that they would take the necessary steps to feel improvement relative to whatever trauma that they've gone through. That means powerfully owning the fact that you hate, looking at what the foundation of hate is, resolving the pain so that you can get yourself into an improved state. And I will tell you, there is no forgiveness unless you're standing in that improved state.
And the path
you can't be like, oh, I forgive you, oh, I'm still in hell. Like, that's not going to happen.
So to get out of... Can you go back to the hate portion of that? I think that's interesting. So recognizing that you're standing in the hate and understanding it is part of the process of healing the trauma. Yeah, but if in society we say it's wrong to hate, people can't even do it. Right. No, like the part of trauma, the healing of trauma is such a messy process. Most people don't want to sign up for it, especially if their ego is attached to these concepts of moral righteousness. Whether it's I'm at peace, or whether it's I forgive, or whether, I mean, if we're attached to this as a fundamental aspect of our identity, we're actually in denial of where we are. And what's quite natural is that when you get really, really hurt by somebody, there's violent hatred. There's a desire for them to hurt as well. And that will arise. It will arise, and want me to tell you why it arises, even on a spiritual level? This is interesting. The desire for somebody else to hurt like hell when they've hurt you is a desire to feel connection and relatability again. You're trying to force empathy. Funny, right? Okay. So it's going to arise. And our ability to get through that is first dependent on our ability to own that's where we are, which is what I'm like trying to get us as a society to like open the door for each other. It needs to be acceptable for somebody, regardless of how woke they should be, right? To be able to be like, I hate them. Right? Because that's what's real. There's grip to that. And when you get something that's real, you can work with it. Okay, underneath that hatred, underneath all hatred is pain. So what is it that you're afraid of, and what is it that hurts so bad? Right. And what do we do about that? And that doesn't even have to involve the other person. Yeah. Like if the hurt was, I wasn't taken seriously. I've never been taken seriously.
we don't even need to involve the other person.
Right.
We can be like, all right, how do we actually directly make it so you're taken seriously?
So there's
How
a
do we
deeper truth.
Yes. How do we resolve the traumas that you have already accumulated about not being taken seriously? How do we accept the fact that that happened? And accept does not mean approve of. I mean,
No,
I
yeah,
accept
for
and
sure.
like, yeah, that happened. I was never taken seriously. And oh, look, I'm basically looking to be taken seriously in my life, and because I'm so desperate for it, I never get taken seriously. And you basically change a person's vibrational relationship to that whole concept, and then they're a match to different things. And it's through the experiencing of those different things, we call that healing, right? Healing is to experience the opposite. It's through the experience of those different things that then a person gets to a place where they're like, okay, I have essentially mastered this. And then when they turn around and look at the thing that hurt them, you don't even feel the same way. I mean, it's like you're coming at it from a completely different perspective. But to be like, we need to forgive them, it's like we're basically taking somebody and being like, be there, not where you are.
Yeah. That's something really powerful that I also connected to. Like, there's something you talked about, the spirituality, red pill, the blue pill, right? So there's like this one side of healing where it's like the feel good type of healing, where, you know, especially like the spiritual fashion that's happening in the world, where, you know, and which is still beautiful. Like people are going on retreats and they're doing, you know, the kind of work. But then there is
You like it better than I do.
I have different takes on it, but again, I think it's still good that people are doing something.
Yeah, okay,
you know what I
it
mean?
makes my life really hard. That's it.
No, but then there's the other type of healing, which is the truth and awakening, and that's something that's so powerful that you do, and I love it how you even state to people, like, if you're here to do that stuff, I'm not the right teacher for you, which is amazing, which is, I think, is important for people to know, because people have to go with an expectation to what they're achieving. But from what you're expressing, it's like that, if there is a true healing that we're searching for, we have to go down to this truth, to this deep root within ourselves, that I find that a lot of people might not even be ready or too afraid to look, so they'll go to the other side of just, you know, maybe meditating and doing some yoga and you know, yeah, the feel good components of healing. But how, I don't even know where my question is. It's just, I'm just making like a reference to it, but it's the fact that, like, how do we encourage people to do the hard work? How do you...
Can you encourage people to do the hard work? A lot of people don't even know there's hard work to be done.
Well, I think letting them know what's on the other side is always a good idea. It's just like selling any product. Here's a product. This product clears acne, right? I mean, it's almost like, I think sometimes we need to sort of lay out for people what it is that they're going to be getting out of doing it, especially if it's something that's not quite pleasant. Outside of that, though,
what is your take on this feel-good
spirituality as a
fashion that's, you know, coming forward?
I detest it. I really detest it.
Where? Why?
Because it's so fake. If a person's in a genuine moment of joy, right? Like you can watch certain yogis and you can tell, like, what they are doing is really, I mean, they're in it. They're in what life is about. They're in the pure enjoyment element of life, and they're in health and all of these positive states. But you can also watch somebody else. Let's say there's a lot on social media right now. You can watch a lot of them that are like just posing, and you're like, they're literally just thinking about the camera. Like, this is not even what it's about, right? So when anything becomes a fashion, it can become something that's very surface level, and it's not actually genuine or authentic to the person. And I'm really struggling with that. And I'm struggling with it also being and becoming a coping mechanism, where it's an avoidance strategy that we're using. I don't like it when, I mean, we could use anything as an avoidance mechanism. And spirituality is the great avoidance mechanism right now.
And it's such an easy identity to throw on yourself without having to actually do anything. And I think I find I struggle a lot with it as well. And we're immersed in that area of our life and surrounded by so many different personalities and identities in it. And honestly, it's so frustrating. It's really disheartening to see it becoming... And fashionable is an interesting thing, but it's almost like a Band-Aid to be like, no, I'm good now. Look I'm wearing this certain thing, and behaving this certain way, and I took this certain breathwork class, and I did this, and now everything's great, but nothing's actually changed inside.
Or they go back to their life and their reality of if they're out of the retreat and they're back into kind of where they were before.
Well,
it hasn't actually healed.
That's without the heal, that's the ebb and flow of like the fight. Like I feel like the fight will be there for me for my whole life, which is like finding the connection, finding the internal, and nurturing that which inside me shines, and then immersing into the matrix and society and having that sucked away and having to do the work all over again. I think that's a normal process, but I find that, you know, it's almost the ruse of wearing spirituality as the fashion and convincing yourself that fashion is you without actually having gone in it and continuously knowing that it's not just a pill to take and it's done. It's like, no, this is a journey and it's for the rest of your life. And it's not easy, and you fall just as much as you rise, and you struggle just as much as you smile. But that's the beauty of the duality of consciousness to me. Like, it is the idea that it is as ugly as it is beautiful, but those are both just labels we put on both sides. And to accept that our sadness is just that. It's okay. It's to be at peace with our sadness and all of the dark sides of us just as well as the light. And sort of and to me, that, as complex as that sounds, connects directly to why the fashionable spirituality bothers me so much, because it's like it is not accepting the duality. It's just saying everything's great and I just have to do this and this and this and life is perfect. And I will emulate that and sell it as a pill to everyone else and make a business on Instagram about it, through my photos and my courses and my this and my life coaching and all the stuff that everybody's doing. And the more I'm talking about it and vocalizing, the more I realize it drives me crazy. Because honestly, the most spiritual thing that I think you can do as a person is just fucking work at being a human and sort that shit out.
So like, that's not difficult enough.
Yeah, is that difficult? Exactly. Like, then everything else is like, so.
But do you think when people embark on that journey of at least trying to look up inside just a little bit, and if they catch a glimpse of that connection to divinity and to this higher energy, that it inspires them to shift and go down the difficult path?
I don't usually watch that happen.
No.
I usually watch when people tap into that. They have a promise that they want to maintain 24 hours a day. So they first will start to go on this hunt where it's like, well, if I just meditate every single morning for 3 hours, or if I just do this pose, or if I just eat this way, and then it all fails them. Mm-hmm. And they only start to go down towards that darkness when they realize they're not getting out of it. Mm-hmm. So it's usually pain that brings people there instead of the touching of the light that makes them be like, now I want to take it into the dark. It's pain that motivates people.
But through that pain, at some point, they have to connect to the light.
Well, the idea is that it's inevitably going to be happening. Mm-hmm. Because here's the idea. The idea is that these things that are sort of in the way, which are causing us pain, they're an item of resistance. So when we resolve that resistance, naturally you're in that state. You don't have to work for it, though. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people, that we have these wonderful tools that can sort of put you in the space where you can access some of this stuff. But it shouldn't be something that's hard for us to access. So if you're starting to take care of these aspects of yourself that are in front of it, it's not. Mm-hmm. And that's why you start to see that, like, the more awakened that somebody gets, it's like they only use these sorts of practices in a regimented way when they really feel like they need that medicine. Mm-hmm. The rest of the time, they're just like, chop wood, carry water. Because I can chop wood, carry water in a very different way than you can. Because the quality of your life experience, even though mundane, is completely transformed into feeling more like those states. Because there's nothing in the way anymore.
That's beautiful. So, I think we should probably start winding this down, because this has been an epic, beautiful conversation.
Yeah. My question for you, one last question that I have, because we started talking about divinity and light. Do you believe in God?
So God in the way that human beings use that word, no.
What is it to you?
So how do you believe in God?
What is that energy to you?
If you took all energy in the universe, which is imbued with the quality of consciousness, which is the capacity to perceive and also project forth thought, that's even in inanimate objects that you're seeing physically manifested. If you took everything in existence and you looked at the amalgamation of that energy, that is God. So it is the consciousness that is the amalgamation of all subjective perspectives that currently exist. And believe me, there's more and more getting created every day. That's God.
Have you had that connection experience through all of this interactions that you've had with